countries are shaping up for the World Cup. You ready or not? We're coming at you. This is that time once again on radio to welcome you to Football Live. It goes on and the conversation continues. And we're bringing it to you today's edition of it. I hope you're having a good Saturday afternoon. And yes, we're just about to take things up a little. Yes, take it a notch higher. And I welcome you to another edition of the show. Now, as countries prepare for the World Cup, yes, as is the international window, yes, countries that are preparing are in action. We just might take a look at some of the African countries and how well they're preparing, just what they are doing right.
That is absolutely superb.
And yes, of course, take a look at other things happening in the world of sports. Yes, as it concerns football strictly. And you know, once it is a Saturday, it is Football Live, and the action goes on and on. Joseph Obicheson also joins me on the show this lovely afternoon. Joseph, good afternoon to you and welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon. Great one to be here once again, and of course, to talk everything football. Shout outs to our Ghanaians, but our Ghanaian brothers. Some are already saying
you just have to go that route.
I have to.
You just have to go that route. Unfortunately, they will have the last laugh because you people did not qualify for the World Cup.
I've been hearing some Ghanaians. I mean, playfully, yeah. I say maybe they should remove the
coach.
The Ghanaian slots and give it to Nigeria because they are just there to they don't give it away because I mean you are considered 5 before the World Cup starts.
It's funny. So I have friends in the media in Ghana. And I saw some of the tweets yesterday. I had to screenshot and send to them to say, is this truly you or your account was hacked? He said, leave coaching before coaching leaves you. Otuado, thank you for the experience. Really, guys? No, I don't think it should be that way already. I mean, there's still a lot to play for. And who knows? Maybe Ghana shows up at the tournament proper and not, in the build-up to the competition. I think people place too much attention on the build-up to the competition, and sometimes we lose sight of the actual thing, which is the competition itself. Because, I mean, why do I want to win all my friendly matches and raise hopes only for me to dash the hopes when the competition kicks off? Again, going into this particular competition, which is the World Cup, I struggle to see any Ghanaian apart from Swamenyo, who is in good form at the moment. Swamenyo, maybe a bit of Fatawu, and Jordan Ayew. But these two guys actually play in the championship. Okay. I think Swamenyo is just about the main guy. And Sulemana, who's not a starter at Atalanta, by the way, but he gets good minutes and he tries to affect the game the best way possible. You look at these guys, you look at what they bring to the national team, and you just say to yourself that, look, if these are the guys that are going to represent Ghana, it's a bit of a concern, isn't it? 5-1. What's the scoreline yesterday against Austria?
It was 5-1, and to be honest, leading to a World Cup, yeah, particularly because you would actually say, okay, it's not all done and dusted. They still have to get some things right before the World Cup. We're just about 3 months away, and I think so many things, so many lessons to take out of that game, but. I'm not sure what the expectation would be for that Ghanaian team. I thought they had a good squad. So some of the players I felt okay. Maybe not the best in the world. Obviously, you would not say world-class players, or they are most of them are above average, and because they should be able to own their own, especially against some of these countries they would be playing against. But if you are playing against a side like Austria, not sure if anybody expects Austria to probably go into, I think at most, the second round. I think it's, I don't know what to expect. I think it's, it's very much a story we can tell ourselves by that scoreline. Maybe we are not ready. I don't know what level of preparation they have. But if you are playing in Austria, I feel like, there's enough investment from the country or from the FA to say, okay, yeah, we are qualified. We are trying to prepare for a World Cup. But I think they just need to do better at plain and simple.
How much of this is down to the quality of coach that they have? Because again, amongst local coaches, they have said, look, this tactics is obsolete, and it will not be a bad idea with 3 months to the World Cup for Otuado to be shown the exit door, and whatever happens with the new man, you're forging a new beginning. He was there at the last World Cup. He's been to an AFCON. and this is another World Cup. How much of a risk do you want to take going into another World Cup with the same guy, and it's all same ideas, and then maybe by the number of years now, you want to say that they've shown relative patience with him. But because, of course, he qualified Ghana for the World Cup after failing to qualify for the AFCON, people still think he's got a bit of time. But right now, it doesn't look that way. Let's quickly take a break and, pay bills. It will just be soon. And, yes, we'll be back to get the action on the way. Stay with us. The action continues right here. Football Live just getting started. With no special emphasis on what we've been able to see from Coach Otuado and what comes with the Ghanaian national team, everyone expects them to be be better than this. I know that they didn't have much problems qualifying for the World Cup. Yes, they failed to make it to the AFCON, and that probably got them fired up for what we saw in the World Cup qualifiers. But 5-1, definitely not a good one. Next, they take on Germany, I think. And their next game is against Germany, after which, of course, we would know what is going to happen to this team. Yes, they take on Germany, and after the game against Germany, maybe 1 or 2 tune-up matches before their first game against Mexico on the 22nd. They still, before their first game against Mexico and then against Wales, of course, before we talk about their game against, they have World Cup games actually before the World Cup. There are a few tune-up matches where they take on Mexico, they take on Wales, and then, of course, when the World Cup kicks off proper, they have Panama, they have England, they have Croatia. But the game against these guys, certainly not a good one. Now, this is also coming off the heels of that in the last international break in November, they lost to Korea and lost to Japan. And now it is 3 losses back to back to back. Any need for there to be some sort of panic right now or concern for this team? Because the coach doesn't meet the team until the end of the season.
Yeah.
And he barely has 4 weeks with them before the World Cup kicks off.
I think, what is the worst case scenario? They go ahead with him and, the signs continue to show and maybe it's not good. But I think if a decision was supposed to, have been made, when you get the signs that, this team is not particularly playing well, I think they are not the same kind of team from when he took over. That team was poor. You could not tell particularly, okay, these are the guys that you could say, okay, they are up to scratch. But I think now that you have the complement of, some of the biggest guys from the African continent playing football in Europe in some of the biggest leagues and biggest clubs, I thought, we should be getting better results. Yes, they had a fantastic run in the AFCON qualifiers. For the World Cup qualifiers, but they were absolutely terrible in the AFCON qualifiers. And some of the wins they even got in the World Cup qualifiers were okay. now we've done the job. There's some teams that okay, we won 5 games. I think there was one particular one against was this Sudan now where they absolutely blew away, and you would expect they should be winning some of those matches. For example, Nigeria should be blowing the likes of South Tome and Principe out of the waters, which they did, fair to them. But I think there are some matches I felt exposed most of the frailties that they have, and to be honest, I'm looking at it from the angle of, if now that you have a better team, we should be having better results, better performances from the team. And to be honest, for the last 3 years it's been there now. 4 years now, it's not particularly been any better. They've not had any good showing at the AFCONs that they've been to. They've not had any of the tournaments they played basically. And some of the games, bar the World Cup qualifiers, which I thought, okay, they had done the most difficult part when they needed to against lesser opponents. When you get them, beat them absolutely, so that you will have no problem in the future, which they did. But I think for me, you're having a better team, you should be having better results, better performances, but neither is showing at this point in time. I don't think it will show intent or even ambition if they now come ahead and say, okay, yeah, we have to sack him. I think if you wanted to have sacked him, or if you want to sack him, you could have done that way before, so that the new manager or the new head coach would know what he's working with, try to implement his ideas, and everything goes really good, and let's see what the future might hold. But I think 3 months into a tournament, especially as big as the World Cup, I don't think it's I think it will be counterproductive. Wherever they bring, sometimes gambles pay off. We saw Cote d'Ivoire with the head coach Emas Faye at the AFCON, but respectively, this is a World Cup. This is different. What you would enjoy against African opponent, you certainly would not against the rest of the world, who have better exposed players, and of course who have better managers or head coaches, if I may. So I think for me, it would not make a lot of sense if they now want to say they want to do that gamble. I just think if we are so close to the World Cup, it doesn't make sense for for them to be any technical changes at this point in time.
Okay, let's of course move from there to another, because Egypt were also in action. Taking a look at African countries, of course, who will be at the World Cup and their preparation. It was a 4-0 wallop of Saudi Arabia by the Egyptians, showing a lot of intent as far as this one is concerned.
I think Egypt are always going to be that team you can, I say, place a little bit of expectation on as far as Africa is concerned. Yeah, they've got in terms of performance, how they play. I think everybody at one point agreed that okay, the North Africans are the closest to what you have to the rest of the world, and I think maybe the margin is shrinking. But obviously, first of all, Saudi Arabia, another team that I think they've been pretty much underwhelming. Given the sort of investment that has been had in the team. Yes, you look at what the coach.
Isn't that a talent problem?
In terms talent problem,
because the investment has sort of helped to improve on the talent to bridge the gap, but
yes,
in terms of naturals that are born in those places that are supposed to also get the right, they don't seem to have it.
But we also saw this side at the last World Cup. The coach,
apart from the first game, they barely did anything else.
In terms of results, because I saw their games and I felt some of the, I think particularly one against Mexico. Was it?
They won against Argentina, and that was about it.
Yes, against Poland, I thought they had a good game, and you could tell the difference. Clinical Poland, Lewandowski, I think it was a penalty. They had their chances and they took them. In the subsequent game again, you could argue that okay, this was down to what the coach told them to do, and they played actually well. But I think it makes every sense now to reduce it to okay, the quality of what they have, the talent level. The coach can only do what he can. It can only do as much. But the truth is, when you don't have I think the talent is the foundation here. And when you don't have plenty of that, it would always, there's also always going to be a problem. It's not sustainable. The coach can try as much as possible, but when you don't have the foundation, you can tell you won't, go as much. So I think that is the problem Saudi Arabia, have been having. And for Egypt, I would particularly say this is a test. The Super Eagles, not particularly in a good, what's the word I would say, not particularly in good times when we played them some years ago. These guys actually, played against us. We played really well against them, we considered goals. So it was a draw, 2-2. But the truth is, I think anybody would have looked at that game and said, okay, Saudi Arabia were not supposed to be much of a match. But yes, they were under a Mancini, just as at the World Cup, they had a good manager. But again, it went down to when it comes to the what quality would give you. Would you be able to offer much? And I think that's where it's been lacking. Yes, I could point to a few names that I feel are basically good in that Saudi Arabia team. Few of them. But I think a few players in a big system is not sustainable. And when you get tested against quality side, it would always show forth. And Egypt basically did that yesterday. And I mean, everybody can tell the story. So for me, I think apart from the fact that Egypt are one of those teams where you feel okay, they'll be able to give a good representation. I think apart from that, the Saudi Arabia were just not simply up to scratch against them.
Okay, let's go from one country to another, from Egypt to South Africa. South Africa came from a goal down. Apolis was the man who scored for South Africa in the game as they came from a goal down against Panama to make it 1-1 in this particular fixture. Tough one, no doubt it was for them, but they were able to at least pull a draw, and that was all she wrote as far as that fixture is concerned.
Yeah, well, I think it's easy to displace Panama as one of those countries coming from the Caribbeans and whatnot. But I think in terms of, when I say put it down to development, I think they've actually been knocking on the door for a while now. The last time I think we heard of them, they were not at the last World Cup, were they? They were at 2018. Yeah. And I thought, the level dropped. Evidently, they were not able to meet the World Cup last year. And I think, having them back here, just signals that, okay, maybe we need to start paying attention. I mean, just a few months ago, everybody saw what Jamaica, did. And whether we like it or not, they are in the final stage of the World Cup qualifiers now. They have a Congo DR to contend with. But the truth is, whether we like it or not, South Africa, yes, I think the bane, I really don't know what I would say the bane is about that team. I look at the quality, pound for pound. Yeah, maybe not world class, but as a team, they played together for a very long time. You would probably expect that, okay, now everybody's supposed to be serious, no waiting that they do. And sometimes it just, I look at their campaign at the last AFCON. Maybe it's not the kind of tournament to say, okay, to mirror what could happen at the World Cup. But I think, you look at the way the team plays, and I think I expect more from South Africa. Yeah, I would not read so much meaning because, again, respect to Panama, their development in terms of football is, gradually coming up the ranks like plenty Caribbean teams. But I think South Africa, for me, I think I want to expect better from them in the next, few games going into the World Cup. And I think we can say this is how they'll perform at the World Cup in the next few friendly games they play.
Okay, of course, from South Africa we'll go to Morocco, who of course played a 1-0 draw in a game against Ecuador. In that fixture, a Ghanaian-born Ecuadorian actually opened the score for Ecuador in that game. Morocco missed the penalty, had a goal disallowed, and eventually, of course, scored the equalizer in the 88th minute of that game. Well, another team where, despite recently changing their coach, you would not say there's been a drop-off in terms of quality.
Yeah, obviously. I think they are basically Africa's
most consistent team.
Yeah, most consistent team, and you basically put them above the rest of the pyramid as the flag bearers of African football, especially at the World Cup. Going by not just even what they did at the last World Cup, but how they play, how they be consistent with the not just even results, but as well the performances. And I think you can as well measure why they could go toe-to-toe with some of these guys. But again, new wave of Ecuadorian talent, makes them a bit trickier to even predict. We have Nkapi, we have Caicedo, we have quite a number of new guys who are actually coming up. I think people are sleeping on what football is like in 2026. You can't look at in fact the Ecuador that showed up at the 2022 World Cup for me was supposed to be an eye opener, and I don't think anybody should be what's the word now, particularly saying okay maybe Morocco has dropped off because they drew against Ecuador. So I think for me a very balanced team. Morocco as well as Ecuador. I think maybe it's just about a fair result, but again, you would expect something good from Morocco at the World Cup. Let's see how it pans out. Maybe it's just new manager bounce again that would. I don't know, but I think you would always expect that Morocco will do something, good. Let's see how the next few games will, turn out for them before we start saying, okay, maybe the new coach has something to offer or not at the World Cup.
Okay, whether the new coach has something to offer at the World Cup, we are going to find out when the competition itself kicks off proper, and then of course there'll be a whole lot more to talk about as far as that one is concerned. In the meantime, Nigeria were involved in action yesterday in their 2-1 win against Iran. Super Eagles secured a hard-fought 2-1 victory over the Iran national team in Antalya, Turkey on Friday. Yes, the Super Eagles took control early, extended their lead after the break, and held firm under a late Iranian pressure to seal a deserved win. Nigeria wasted no time attempting, of course, stamping their authority in the game and taking the lead just 6 minutes in through Moses Simon. Iran, of course, Akko Adams doubled the lead for Nigeria, but Moses Simon Iran responded with flashes of attacking intent, with Mehdi Taremi, of course, showing glimpses of danger down the flank and scoring a goal for the Iranians. Are there positives to take from this match? Looking at how we left off at the AFCON and how people expect us to build on that momentum, are there positives to take from this game?
Well, I think, especially from the result, it was not a game particularly plenty Nigerians were able to, to see, because, for obvious reasons. And for probably a few who saw it, I think, to be honest, reaction from that game, you wouldn't look at that game and say, okay, it was a very beautiful performance, from both sides actually, not even from the Super Eagles point of view. And, to say the Super Eagles were actually able to, win that game, obviously, would, lend credence to the fact that, okay, even when you're not playing the best of football, if you're able to get the result, it is something. And I think, we had a good AFCON, maybe not by what individuals would expect, based on what we did from the previous AFCON until then. But the truth is, I think it is important that we build on the momentum. And yes, result-wise, it was good. But I think I want to see, something better in the next game against Jordan. And by no means am I saying Iran are a better opposition, but I think Jordan should know, if you're able to beat a side like Iran, we should be beating Jordan with, better football, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, of course, we're talking positives. Are there positives from this game post the African Cup of Nations that you'd probably want to talk about? I think first things first, the fact that we got new guys in, be able to give them an opportunity for us to see what these guys can do, for me was the first, indication that, following all the extensive conversations about the coach and the things he said post the AFCON, especially when he was asked on the day we got the bronze medal that the losers final, he said, I want to bring in more players, I want to continue with this team, I want to improve this team. I think it was a clear indication from the very beginning that people were already pointing in the direction that things should go. People felt, okay, you know what, let's look at bringing in new players, let's look at improving the squad, let's look at how we can create a bit of competition. And then there were concerns about, since there is no competition inside until probably next year when we'll play the AFCON. I say probably because even though it has been scheduled that there will be an AFCON next year, this is CAF we're dealing with. It could be postponed again and then we'll go to 2028. But that notwithstanding, haven't talked about some of these things. I think it was important for us to begin to see it happen in the team. While I didn't expect a wholesale change, I think I saw a bit of a glimpse of some of these things. Again, my highlight, I think we saw a Moses Simon who was sharper, who was sharp in the early part of the game. Maybe, of course, he plays for Nantes. It's one game a week, except you have cup games to play. And so maybe, of course, we've not seen the end of season fatigue that some players are having. I didn't see that with him. Chukwueze was also good. Just, of course, those concerns about his game that he's been unable to cut out. And I think so. The fact that Wilfred and Iwobi were the two guys in front of the back four, it was pretty solid. I didn't expect Iran to trouble them as such, but it looks like there's better understanding between the two of them now, and it is improving by the day. They've not been together since after the AFCON. on the strength of that consideration, you want to say that it wasn't so bad what they put on tape yesterday. Let's see, what else was I impressed with? The Fernandez kid, I think he's early days yet, but he showed a bit of, flashes of things we are likely to see from him going forward. What he could introduce to the team. I saw a guy who wanted to aerially control, aerially contest and win us duels, aerial duels as well. And then again, of course, it was just one game, so it wasn't exactly a thing where some of these guys didn't do above 40 minutes and then you want to have a whole lot to say about it. I think on that front, it is looking really good. And I also want to say that each time we call for matches like this, people should not expect that it will be wholesale. I've seen some scouting handles and all of that stuff representing different bodies who have started pointing coaches in directions in a lot of places, in trenches and what have you, to say go to this place, go to this place, go to this place. I want to say that it didn't make sense, or it doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense because of how I want to phrase it now. It didn't make sense that we do not have standards for our game 5 years ago. And it still does not make sense that anybody who's anywhere outside of Europe, as long as you are getting in the final third or you're probably scoring or assisting goals, you are worthy of the national team. I think that conversation should by now rest. Because, again, there has to be something that is good enough. Not somebody who's playing in Malta, who succeeded in going to the Czech Republic or moved from one place to another, and next thing we're asking for such a player to be given call up to the national team. I don't think the national team should be an all-comers affair. All of the people who will go dragging coaches and say, oh, you did not call this person, you did not. There's no way every Nigerian who plays football everywhere in the world, especially in Europe, can be called to the national team at the same time. It will not work. If we like, let us say those who have been a part of the team in the last 2 years should not be called up, and let us call fresh people who have never been called before. 400 will be too small a number for us to assemble a camp anywhere. Please, let's not do that. In as much as I think that sometimes we leave out some guys who should give a bit of a run out, I think we should not exactly try to get in those places where we want to overdo it. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because there's Olympics in 2028, and now is the time for us to start noting some of these guys and putting a team together where when the qualifiers start, we can have ready-made guys who of course will be available to us to play this game, and then qualifiers for the Olympics have not gone for the last one or the last two. So again, we want to get these things right and do what we have to do. I think the coach is invited 4 guys this time around, and at some point, of course, Muiwu had to be added to make it 5, and then one Umole kid was also added. One Umole lad, let me not say kid, a lad was added to the team, and
lad and kid, now they say
this one is a lad. This one is a lad. It's not a kid, but he was also added to the team, and there were no explanations. It doesn't make sense, even in Europe, where people have the highest standards. When a player is replaced from the team or a player is not replaced, there's always an explanation. You go just see Nigerian match day squad, just see some names where you know see there before when the list come out. I think it doesn't make sense. But positives from this game, the new set of guys that were invited. Unfortunately, we've not heard from the coach for him to tell us his thoughts about the game. I think that's another bad part where we do not.
We are yet to see pictures from the game.
Pictures. I think pictures have started coming in. Pictures have started coming in. But
how many hours?
But for nearly 24 hours, my brother. And but for us not to have heard from the coach to by now know what he thinks about the game, the guys he has seen, what he sees, because the coach is actually the mouthpiece of the team. Trust me, the rest of us will follow what he has seen in the team.
Yes.
Not up to 2% of us will say we have different thoughts from what the coach thinks. The rest 98% of us will follow what the coach has said and say, okay, on the strength of this thing, let's just go with the flow. The coach knows what he's looking for, and we can work with that. But if we are stuck in a place where the match comes and the match goes, and then the coach cannot even give us his thoughts on how his team played, I think it doesn't make sense. We can as well not have a media department of the national team so that everybody will just be in the dark and form opinions on our own. I don't see why in 2026 we will still be looking for the thoughts of the national team coach after a game.
24 hours.
After a game. Nah. It doesn't sit well with me. Unfortunately, these are the things we'll have to deal with all the time. You do expect me to jump on a flight and go to Turkey because I want to find out what the team is doing? No, it's not in every case that should happen. Okay, I'm sure you know that it's also not exactly easy for you to fly to Turkey with the Nigerian passport these days. Okay, so let's leave all that to one side. But again, in terms of positives, the guys who were invited, because the season has gone more than halfway, I did not see that intensity the coach talks about. He says a lot about intensity, and in our game it is difficult for us to sustain it.
Yeah.
We saw it in the playoffs, we saw it at the AFCON. Once it hits the 70 minutes mark, there's a huge drop-off. And they started out well yesterday, did really well, led by one goal after 6 minutes. Then the Iranians were able to settle into the game, took it to us, we maintained a high line, and then they came all guns blazing in the second half, committing a lot of guys into our half, and then were able to pick their pockets, got a second goal, and then they found a way to stabilize things a little. I think one of the things I think by now we should find a way to consciously try to address it is the quality of our defense. In some cases, especially in a team where we drop off after 70 minutes, it is important for you to have the sort of defense that can keep you in the game as much as possible and not make us concede those sort of goals that would be problematic. I say this because even in the playoffs, we were leading against the DRC until we considered that goal.
Yeah.
We were leading against Gabon until we considered that goal also before we went into extra time and scored 3 extra goals and then put the game out of sight. I think we really need to get some of these things right, and then so that it becomes a foundation on which you want to build your team. Whether you now want to play possession-based game and be as expansive as possible or press high, you know that even if you commit as many men as possible forward, you have a base where as long as you have 3 guys at the back, except the opponents are exceptional, they may not be able to get past you. And then you keep them at bay. There is hardly any point in our team apart from the forward line that you will say is the strength of this team. I think it's the forward line. And one thing that is a disconnect for me, if we're counting negatives now, is the fact that we've not been able to also find a way to both centrally and on the flanks create as much as possible for the guys in the front line. That disconnect we saw in the game against Morocco, I think a lot of teams can still use it against us and pin us back and then try to stop us from doing what we do. Now, we've seen it in a couple of occasions where he will push Onyemechi and push Osayi Samuel high up, and then as we're committing almost 5 men, the wingers will now go central, and then we have like 2 to 3 guys in the box, and then we'll try to pin the opponent and then create overloads where we can punish them in certain situations like we did with some teams at the AFCON. But in a situation where they don't allow our full backs to come out because of the people they commit forward to block our passing lanes, it is usually a problem for us. And I think after 1 year, despite the accolades I've also given the coach, I think if we really want to play out of the back, let's begin to find our way around it right now. Whether it is by coaching drills or routine and all of these other things that we have to do, let's master a few that can get us out of certain situations. Because if it were club level now, club level football, we'll probably be saying, let us look for specialists that we can sign who are comfortable with building out of the back. But in this case, we might have to resort to training routines and find ways that we can make this better for us. Joseph.
But I think it's also goes down to the technical department. I think there are a few handful of talents that we have who basically have these capabilities. But in a world where I think we should be moving on from some names, some of them, particularly our, I don't know how to call it, but they've shown that they are mainstays, the likes of Semi Ajayi. I think if we are actually being serious about that, we should also try to complement. Yes, the coach will not have all the time in the world. How many international breaks do we have? For us to be together to do all of these drills. I think was it Pezzero? We wanted something like that, or he wanted something like that. There was this. We had 2 games against Algeria. I think we were beaten in both games. Okay, we lost one and we drew the other one, where we were trying to perfect all of these things. That we found out that Maduka Okoye was not particularly, the kind of guy he would say, okay, 100% you can, depend on all of these things. And it's just to tell you that, okay, when you even try as much as possible to coach all of these things into these guys from our back line, you also need to complement what you're trying to drill with, a merit-based invitation. And I think, yes, anybody could go ahead and, pick out names. I mean, you get where this new boy Fernandez, you get where they pick them from and how they've been able to do the job. I think we can, do more of these things and, get some of those players. And I don't think we should be fixated on having the same set of guys at all time. I think, if what you are trying to achieve, Semi Ajayi is not going to give you, that. I think it is, no matter how good he has been, I think, yes, this is where we can say, okay, we need more competition. And I think if Semi would not sit up, you'd go for the next one. I mean, I'm looking at the English national team. Yes, at one point, Maguire, when he had a problem, he was not particularly, very confident with the ball at his feet. This is a guy whose one of his strengths is having his ball at the feet and, playing through.
Apart from Stones, he's about the only person who does that.
And at that point in time, he dipped. And you saw that, okay, new guys started to come in. They had, at one point, Gerard Brantwaite was the one who, maybe the quality is not the same. But you could tell they were onto something. Gehi came in. At one point, I think they had a few guys that actually tested things out until Maguire was able to sort himself. He came back. And I think that's where we probably need to go. Yes, we don't have the same. I don't know. We probably have the same the scouting network we did. But these are the things we should be doing.
Joseph, you see why this thing is a concern for me, especially now that you've mentioned technical department, and I don't want to go down that route because we've not seen the workings of this department affecting the team or contributing positively to the team. I mean, I stand corrected. I probably want to see numbers so that we can talk statement of facts and not debate. Do you know how this person got into this team? Do you know? That's not what I want to argue. I want to see facts that will point in the indicators that are showing that yes, we are doing the right thing and it is pushing the team forward. That said, I think that as a country also, we do not pay some certain attention to the league and we just do it for the sake of it. Play out of the back phenomenon has been around for nearly a decade now. I mean, since the likes of Pep tried bringing it back and everybody criticized them and everybody. I don't think even as a league, it is something we try to encourage when we say coaches should have technical targets about things we want to see from them. You can be the best team in the Nigerian league and we will not look at your defense to say that your defense can give us something like that. You can be the best team in the league and we will not have to look at your wingers and say your wingers are top pros and 7 out of 10 times they can do 1v1 and leave their opponents for dead. We cannot look at some certain situations and say we have central attacking midfielders who of course can approach games and take it by the scruff of the neck and change the situation. It's still very difficult to a certain degree to analyze matches from a tactical point of view when you watch teams at home. You can try to see the idea of what the coach is trying to do, but maybe not for a sustained period. And then you're left with asking a lot of questions about what's not looking good, what is looking good, what is not happening right. And I think whether we started it 5 seasons ago or we did not start it 5 seasons ago, this season is the best time to start it. Yeah. Select the best guys that you think are the coaches who have done well. Whether they are mid-table, there should be parameters or indices for checking a certain level of improvement based on what you look out for. And then select some of these coaches and say, okay, we're giving you materials to work with. Please, give us, for instance, if we want a wing back who creates an average of 5 to 10 assists in a season. Where are we going to get that? Are we going to let these coaches, will coaches be bold enough to say, I know you are a winger for this team, or you came into this team as a winger, but I want to play 3 at the back. I'll therefore be playing you as a wing back. Like we saw Antonio Conte do with Victor Moses. Victor Moses was our best winger at that time.
Yeah.
But at Chelsea, he was a wing back who drops into the defense to do the defensive work and then joins the attack when it is time to do that. Yeah. We've seen that with a couple of other guys who, of course, it has happened in different situations. I don't know if it is something we can apply and then say to ourselves, because it looks like when it comes to these conversations, because we've not also been able to raise the levels at home, whether one step or half a step, at least moving forward is moving forward. That conversation is now left for, it must be the guys who are coming from Europe who will bail us out of situations like this. And I think it doesn't sit well with me that even when we count positives, we still want to look back and say what will happen when these guys are not available. Calvin Bassey, for all there is, I don't think he has any point to prove to anybody that he's a starter in this team. As soon as you say to yourself that Osimhen is ready to play in this game, and you decide on the goalkeeper you are going to pick, he's probably the number 3 on the list, or maybe number 2. And then you look at all of these things, and that's how much of a mainstay he is right now. And there's a certain level of confidence you have when the lineup is out and he's there.
Yes.
In the losers final, I wasn't so comfortable. Yes, it ended in penalty, but there was something that was missing in the game. The fact that he wasn't there, and everybody was concerned about. Because again, despite picking a yellow card in the game against Morocco, you could tell that he did some things, that interceptions, blocks, and winning tackles, where you'll be thinking, if this guy was not a part of this game, they'll probably smoke us out before 90 minutes. And so, looking at all of these things, I think the positives are pretty minimal, a few. Let's go to the next game against Jordan, and then of course be able to size what the guys will offer again, and then we'll probably look at these things. But I think, yeah, there are positives. New guys are there. Ideas are likely to change. A few things are likely to improve. But I don't know why we've not heard from the coach of the team, who probably should have been able to tell us, oh, this is what I'm trying to achieve with this team, and this was what informed the idea of inviting such players, and looking at what they have done in this game, this is the next step we want to take. But again, I'll let you have your thoughts on the show this afternoon. 090-41,089, 090-44,089. The numbers to call to be a part of it. Now, we're looking at the team post the African Cup of Nations. Do you think there are positives? Especially, we played our first game yesterday after the AFCON. Yes, are there positives that you want to take from this game and say, okay, yes, it is looking good, and if we are able to build on this, if we are able to consolidate on this, it just might take us to another level where things would look and even get better. 090-41,089, 090-44,089. Yes, hit the phone lines and talk to us on the show this afternoon about the national team. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Emmanuel, you're welcome.
The positive in that game was let me start with the negative.
Okay.
So, like the defenders that they brought in to do the job well, this guy couldn't play anymore. What they call his name again? The guy that replaced Bass with guy that played that guy. Igor Bu. But when he had injury, when they brought in that guy from that plays, is he the former Imba guy? Forgotten his name.
Mwiwu.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
The guy, he was shaky. Like, to me, he was the one that even made them got that one goal. He was shaking. They even scored the offside goal. Yes, it was a bit. Was that okay? Handball. They say it's handball, but that thing was not handball. In a normal Premier League game, that is not handball. It's a proper goal, but they counted it as handball for their number 9 because he was shaky. Like, the guy was just shaking. I don't know. Maybe because he's not a centre back. When he used to play for Imba, I knew him as the DM. It's when he went to talk that he started playing as a centre back. The guy was not at all. He was just he couldn't even make them play from the back. But the first half was very good. The first half, 15 minutes was okay. But from the other minutes, we're just struggling to control the game. The game was not moving well. And this guy, Dele Bashiru is not anything close to a winger. That guy is, I don't know, he's not good at winning the ball. And what I see him is good at catching the pucks, Dele Bashiru, because on the ball, the guy is not good. The guy doesn't know how to take on player. He's trying to take on player. He can't. I've seen him do that in is it the AFCON and this game that we played on the right wing. When Chukwueze was taking on his movement, but he can't take on his man. If they give him ball, free space will take it back. That guy is there.
Okay, thank you. Try again to reach us, and of course, let's take a quick message. Joseph has got something for us.
Yes, Gunners, it is not over until it is over. And it is the Arsenal all the way. To celebrate this great season, Chivas Regal, the official whiskey partner of Arsenal FC, has given away an official Arsenal jersey signed by Victor Gyökeres, Martin Zubimendi, and Mikel Merino. So here's a challenge. Build your ultimate five-a-side Arsenal FC team with any era of Arsenal players. Invisibles, Emirates, hybrid days. Just mix it up. Be creative. Show us that you know Arsenal. Drop your lineup in the comment section of the pinned post on the official at Chivas Regal NG page on Instagram and X. The comment with the most love wins the jersey. So hurry now. Let's see who is really a gunner for life. Rise we rise. Remember to drink Chivas responsibly.
Okay, of course, we already know that. Let's get right into it as we take more thoughts on the performance of the national team. And yes, we're looking at how they performed yesterday, what they did in that game. Yes, we're looking at the positives or maybe negatives. If you have any of those, bring it forward. Let's talk about it on the show. 090-41,889, 090-44,889. On 44,889, you can also send your messages on WhatsApp and we will take them. Yes, keep those messages coming in and let's hear from you. Remember to add your name to it so that we can attach a name to whoever is sharing their thoughts with us on the show. Yes, keep the calls coming in and let's hear from you on the show. Greetings to everyone in the house. Colin Suzoma Uwakwe from Onitsha says, let's not lie to ourselves anymore. Maduka Okoye is a big upgrade to Standing Wabali, and it's even perfect that he had another opportunity to play for the Super Eagles, and it's obvious that he will be the number one going forward. He exploits his exploits with Udinese in the Italian Serie A shows it all, and it's even better than we can now brag. Yes, it's even better than we can now brag of having our number one goalkeeper playing in the Serie A as a starter. Fine boy goalkeeper. Maduka is the next big thing for the Super Eagles. God bless Pre-Life. Thank you so much for that one. I think when you play in the big leagues and you are good and you are trying to improve all the time, over time it will show.
Yeah, it will.
You can be talented and be doing your thing, but if you play in the big league over a certain period of time, the quality of the league will rub off.
Yes, I mean, you're playing against
top players,
global talent around the world, and
one of the top 5 leagues in the world.
Yeah, you're exposed to the best of facilities. You are exposed to an environment. I think it is really important. An environment that wants to be progressive, that is progressive all the time, and try to get better. Because I mean, the level of this is not to shade what Africa is. I think we are doing well. We can be better, but the truth is, the level of science, the level of knowledge behind many of these top institutions is the reason why there's a big gulf between them and the rest of the world. The truth is, they bring out new innovations. Everybody's working. There's research and advancement team everywhere. Just to make things better. They're using AI. They are using just cutting edge technology to ensure you have better prepared for preparedness for everything. And I think these are the different attention to details. We are not going to have that in Africa. I mean, because it's very expensive, all of these things. And some of the way we even do business, with maybe the branding is not yet there, and I think we are not particularly a big market for any of these institutions and even tech companies to partner with them or with any of our teams here. I think there's always going to be a difference. What we can basically have against them is maybe talent.
Yeah.
By talent, you can tell for sure that Stanley Nwabali is as talented. But I think for me, against Maduka or anybody you probably bring, I think it is the fact that he's exposed to not just even the world-class players, who continue to test him, but the cutting-edge technology that ensure that he has to be on top of this game. And of course, you have the personal drive of some of these players, which keeps them on. But I think there's always that there's always golf in quality, golf in cap in terms of quality. Again, I don't think because you are seeing Maduka now, it makes any sense to rubbish Nwabali.
No, I don't think.
Nwabali is a good talent.
Yeah,
you might say maybe not world class, but the truth is probably if he had it early and maybe goes to.
We use world class too loosely these days, and I hope he doesn't lose its meaning. Meaning on us,
especially on people who actually merit it. And to be honest, maybe it's not going to give you what the other talents in Europe would give you. Again, based on some of these factors that I've listed out, but I think it's.
I think he's a top goalkeeper.
He's a top goalkeeper.
Again,
yes.
let's not forget where we were before we got to this point. Yeah. And it wasn't the first time it was happening. We had a goalkeeper crisis the moment Carl Ikeme said he was done with the national team, and everybody was like, "Oh, let's go for Nyama. Let's beg him to come out of retirement." We tried the Ikechukwu Senwa, and then of course while we're preparing for the World Cup, we settled for Uzoho. We went for the 2018 World Cup and came back, and it was another merry-go-round struggle in between now that time. By the time we're going for the AFCON in 2019, Akpeyi was first choice, all of that. We've gone back and forth. And, we got to where we are. We stumbled on this one now, and it's looking good. Even before then, Okoye had tried also. I think the best part about Okoye is that, given his age and how he's grown into this position, you can tell that as he grows older, he becomes a better goalkeeper.
Yes.
And that's one thing you cannot take away from him, because again, age has a way it makes goalkeepers better.
Yes.
And that's something, again, that's one advantage, one of the very few advantages about the foreign bonds, or the ones who play they're probably born here, left early, and then they started playing abroad. One of the things you cannot take away from them is that from the time they are 19, 20 and they are making some silly mistakes in the team, you can tell that these are mistakes that are permissible at their age. And as they grow older, they become better at it. And you see that their ceiling would have gone up a notch or two, and you know that the quality has improved over time. I mean, the Bassi we saw under the reign of Steven Gerrard at Rangers was not the same guy who went to Ajax, and the same guy we're seeing at Fulham now. So there's been growth, and I think that's one thing you cannot take away from these guys, because of course they play at clubs or they come from systems where they usually and consistently set targets for them, where if you've reached this point, somebody expects you to be better than that by next season. And whether individual work or whatever advice your coach is giving you, you still have a lot of work to do to brush it up.
Yes, I think it's important to note all of these things, and so as for us to understand what things are basically, as far as even Nigerian football or African football is concerned. And I think for me, it is good that we have such a I won't call it headache, but I think it is good that we have these two guys at this point in time. And to be honest, it feels as if at least for the next 10 years or so, we're sorted, and we can move on to other things in terms of raising the level a bit higher in the national team. And I don't think it is time for us to start saying this one is better than this one. Every time Nwabali has shown a few times he had goofs, but I think every goalkeeper has had that moment before. Even though people would argue that Maduka Okoye, particularly maybe unfairly, was ostracized from the squad. He himself actually went off for a while before he actually got back. He had his moments as well, but I think it is just not fair for you to say somebody who has been holding it down when this guy was not around, for you to now start saying. And I don't think there's any particular game that you say Maduka Okoye has cost Nigeria. I don't think so. So I think for me it's all good. I'm just happy that we are against what we had 5 years ago. It was a crazy show. I think we are really good now, and I'm grateful for that.
Hopefully we'll of course be able to build on this and set ourselves on the right path, and hope that things will look good as far as this reign is concerned. Let's of course move on to our other talking points on the show today, right here on your Champion Star Sports Radio FM. Yes, it is a Football Live. Let's get right into all the talking points that we have. Now, Manchester City midfielder Rodri has refused to rule out a future move to Real Madrid despite his past as an Atletico Madrid player. The 2024 Ballon d'Or winner is now back playing regularly for Manchester City after a long recovery from a cruciate ligament injury suffered in 2024. Rodri, who played for Atletico Madrid's academy and then starred for the first team in the 2018-19 season before joining City, has just a year left on his contract with the Premier League club, with the deal up in June 2027. Having been linked with a move to Real Madrid this summer, he was careful not to dismiss the possibility in a radio interview when, of course, asked about his Atletico Madrid past. Of course, he made if thought that could make such a switch possible. Rodri, of course, did not rule that out. In his words, who says no to the best club in the world? He even made reference to say that there are players who have actually played for both Atleti and Real Madrid in the past. He didn't want to, of course, rule them out. And is Rodri's open flirting with Real Madrid a warning sign for Manchester City?
Well, I think personally, a club like Manchester City, if you're serious, you should be looking at trying to get something better for probably for yourself. And I think given that his contract is basically going to an end, the player is not the same as used to be. And I think for the fact that you basically invested to have this covered up for a while for good money at that, and then you still want to continue having. I mean, there are players that are currently on the radar of Manchester City who I would say 70% of the time they would get them, because I mean, you look at the quality of the competition they have in terms of those teams that will probably drag with them for those players, not particularly will offer what Manchester City would offer. And maybe the twist is Pep Guardiola. Is he going to leave? Is he going to stay? I think there's a little bit of a factor there that could determine so many things and could result into a dominoes effect of on who goes and who stays, or who comes in. And I think for me, if such a player like Rodri is telling Real Madrid, signaling to Real Madrid that if if you're ever in need of somebody, I would not hesitate to jump ship. I think it's important that such a player, I'm not saying they should ostracize him, but I think you just have to think of the future. I mean, there are reports that Real Madrid might be looking to let go of Camavinga if the right bid comes in. Yeah, maybe Camavinga there's an argument here. Maybe he'll be the one to come to Manchester City, and I don't think it's too much of a task for him to get him to Manchester City, because obviously not so many teams are better than City at this point in time. He could probably want to go back to his homeland in France and get to PSG. I don't know, wherever he might end up. But the truth is, I think there's a few names that are out there now. Manchester City should try as much as possible to get that covered up. Rodri, firing warnings. And I don't even see where this is coming from, because he's been playing games ever since he got back, from his injury, from that long-term injury. He played. He started games, and then he went another relapse for a long time. He comes back. I think at every time he comes back, he's been playing. Yeah. And for you to start saying things like, I feel it's a tad disrespectful to a club like Manchester City, who have obviously, apart from invested enough, and for them to get a Nico Gonzalez, who I don't know whatever happened. They brought him in. The moment Rodri comes in, they start playing Rodri ahead of him, and I think it has been unfair to him. And then for you to make all of those sacrifices for a player like Rodri, I think, and for the man to start sounding warnings of, okay, I might be looking to jump ship and keeping my my tabs open for other teams. I think it's not a good look. It's not a good look, and I think Manchester City should be looking at life without Rodri in the long term if they want to be serious. Again, maybe the exit or the staying of Pep Guardiola might add some effect.
I was going to ask if the fact that Pep Guardiola, the possibility of him leaving at the end of the season could also be a factor why a guy like Rodri, because how do you let a player as important as Rodri be left with 1 year on his contract?
It's probably one of those reasons why the club probably will have been looking forward to. I mean, you look at it from business wise. Rodri, yes, he's not in the wrong side of his 30s, but the truth is the performance has slowed down. significantly, you don't expect somebody of such importance to the team to go on a very long injury absence to come back that sharp. And there's a scare of it relapsing, because he's had some injuries from the back, from a back injury to hamstring to knee injury, more than ever. And I think it is important. Maybe that is the reason why they've just kept him up to this far and not offer him a new contract until maybe probably Guardiola stays or leaves, because apparently the person who is basically holding the core of the team together is Guardiola. And for example, Bernardo Silva was in this situation some couple of years ago, and there were talks about he has one leg to Barcelona already, delivered. For them, for him doing a reverse and say, okay, signing a new contract to Guardiola, saying he doesn't mind if he wants to leave. He was not going to force anybody to stay. But then he somehow convinced Bernardo Silva to reverse his decision, and they stayed. So I think some of these decisions are tied to whether Guardiola leaves or stays. And in fact, there are also talks about Haaland, saying Barcelona want to have the first right of refusal. I don't know where they want to get that from, because he absolutely has nothing to in terms of what at this point in time he has no ties with them. But if these reports are true, it's just to signal something that okay, maybe the time is up for Guardiola. And I think for me, is a signal to Manchester City as a body, as a club, that you need to start looking forward, away from these guys, and have a sustainable plan to move away from them.
Okay, 090-41,089, 090-44,089. Yes, is Rodri's open flirting with Manchester City, with Real Madrid, a concern for Manchester City? Should it be a concern for Manchester City if they are unable to keep their guy? Yes, he's openly flirting with them already. And yes, is this a concern for Manchester City? Should it be a concern that your player who's still in your books is saying there's nothing wrong with who says no to the best club in the world? Well, let's see how that goes.
We just come out your club just how many weeks ago?
You should say you don't contribute to why you not come out.
Possibly, sir, because if you are fraternizing with them like this, you just open them.
Open you. 090-41,089, 090-44,089. The big question about Rodri, and yes, what the future holds for him. If you think he probably would stay at City, or you think he probably has his head turned already, and there is a possibility he could be moving to Real Madrid. Do you think this should be a concern for the Manchester City hierarchy, that a player, yes, one of the most important player, is already I think he's the first guy to bring the Ballon d'Or back to the Premier League.
Yeah, he's after Ronaldo.
Yeah. I mean, it's taken all that years, and now he's bringing it back. Okay, so yes, 090-41,089, 090-44,089. Good afternoon. Hello? Good afternoon. Okay.
Nice strike.
Let's take some of the comments we have right here on the show. Hi, Anchor. Of course, watching teams like Kosovo, Jamaica, Poland, Wales, Bosnia and Herzegovina flex their muscles in yesterday's playoffs. Shows if our dear Super Eagles could have just added a little more urgency and zeal when the ball was in their court. Dunamis, this one is coming from you. Well, that ship has sailed now. Hi, Football Live crew. Adedeji from Iron Boy says, for me, anybody comparing Maduka Okoye to Nwabali because of these below average performance yesterday against the lowly rated Iranian side. I'm disappointed at the manner in which he considered that goal. He still keeps it as if he's still inexperienced. The ball was conveniently supposed to punch above the crossbar, and he just punched it back in play for the opponent to easily tap in. That's how they scored him. For me, half-fit Nwabali is, but look, guys, I don't want to do this. Let's stop this comparison. I honestly do not want to do this. Okay, please, let's. Two things can be right. We can have both goalkeepers. They are both Nigerians, and enjoy what they do. Good afternoon, Victor and Joe. My name is Cesar Richard. For a player to come out publicly to twerk for another club is, yes, it shows that probably the manager may be leaving and that the club are not offering him a contract extension. It is a very serious concern, and this will be his last season. You already know that. Should City be concerned that Rodri has these thoughts about another club? He refers to them as the best club in the world. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Joseph at the Greece.
Yes, you're welcome.
My name is Pius, the Arsenal legend from my place.
Okay.
You see, coming to Rodri topic, we cannot be under contract talking destiny on media. It shows you contribute the fall of Man City against Real Madrid. That thing when they talk is no good. So for me, football, soldier goes, soldier come. Which without him, Man City will exist. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for that one. In fact, in his absence, they got Nico Gonzalez. Yes, Nico Gonzalez. Hello, good afternoon. Hello? Good afternoon to you. Now, what for you? Look at this now. Please turn down the volume of your radio when you call in so that we can hear you clearly. It is you we're interested in hearing, not the other external noises over there. Still the Champion Star Sports Radio Brunei FM. And yes, some of the games at under 19 are taking place at this time. Let's see if we can bring you the score lines of those games. Romania lead 3-0 against Liechtenstein. Norway lead 2-0 against Luxembourg. And Moldova 1, Faroe Islands 0. England 1 at Spain 2. Finland, they trail against Estonia 1-0. France lead 1-0 against Hungary. Italy lead 1-0 against Poland. And Slovenia lead 1-0 against Cyprus. Yes, Germany have just conceded. They trail 1-0 against Israel after 16 minutes in another game. Let's let you know that for the WSL, Liverpool women, they have taken the lead against Everton women. It's a Merseyside encounter in that fixture. From the penalty spot, Sari Holland has put Liverpool ahead in the game. 1-0. Do you think Rodri, yes, his comments about Real Madrid should be a concern for Manchester City, who are currently his employers? Or do you think there is a chance he could move in the summer as well? Looking at the fact that the man who brought him, the speculation about his future just won't go away. Yes, of course, still your Champion Star Sports Radio Brunei FM. Let's take more comments. This one from Gabriel says, as far as I'm concerned, I think there are positives to take from this team. This team had a good outing at the last AFCON. I think they can still build on it and improve on what they are doing so far. I didn't get a chance to see the team. I only saw towards the end of the game and I wasn't impressed. We're already 2 goals up when I started watching the match. But I think there's a lot we can still improve on. For the back line, I don't want to blame anybody. Not the goalkeeper, not the players, because these players are just new and they are not used to themselves yet. Okay. Victor, the player himself, knows. Yes, he says Rodri is a very smart footballer. For him, coming out publicly shows that the club and his representatives did not agree on a contract extension. Okay, well, that's another one. It's a good way to look at it as well. And let's see how it goes. Everton women trail 2-0 as Liverpool women have just doubled the lead in the WSL. Yes, action right there. I think also one of the things about this team yesterday was the quality of substitutions. Yes, quality of substitutions was a bit of a concern for me. I mean, Dele Bashiru playing in place of Moses Simon on the flank. Yes, someone pointed it out earlier. That was a concern for me. And then Chukwueze, who also was on the flank, you removed him and brought on a Paul Onuachu. One would expect that, okay, at that point in time, you know, okay, maybe at that point in time, of course, Akwa Adams was the first person to get substituted for Chidera Ejuke. So Ejuke goes to the flank and then Onuachu goes to take Adams' position. But yes, I think after these changes were made, especially with a winger coming in and one guy who were playing as a makeshift winger, in this case, Dele Bashiru, maybe because he wasn't a typical winger who could, of course, move past his own player, his own opponent, and then try to find the spaces in between or behind and then pass the ball. It was difficult for them to create for Paul Onuachu. Yes, it was difficult for them to create for Paul Onuachu. And towards the end, of course, Lukman had to be substituted in the game, and then Frank Onyeka came on in the 90th minute. That was late for me. I mean, it was a friendly. What else were we waiting to see? Give the guys a bit of a run out. I expected to see a bit of Yira Saw. I didn't see him. Maybe, of course, in the other match, we'll see what Yira would do in that game. Yes, he's had his time with the team at under 20 level. We'll see what he can possibly offer as far as this stage of the national team is concerned. And let's be able to judge if these guys are ready, or if, of course, we still think some of them, they still need a bit of time before we blood them into the national team proper. Yes, 090-41,889, 090-44,889. Yes, the numbers to call on the show this afternoon on Football Live as the action continues right here. Yes, we're talking Rodri and content about his future at Manchester City. After this week, he openly spoke about Real Madrid, saying that nobody says no to the best club in the world. He has not ruled himself out of the possibility of joining the Spanish Giants, despite previously playing for Atletico Madrid.
That is absolutely superb.
Asked about the possibility of joining the club, having played for their rivals, Rodri said there are players who have done so in the past, and he will not be the first. He further mentioned that the team would find ways to keep improving and not have to worry. But he did not rule out the possibility of joining the team if the opportunity arises. Says, who says no to the best team in the world? He didn't say yes, I want to join them. He didn't say no, I don't want to join them. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm just speaking from Ogun State. Please,
Okay.
educate me. Nigeria who played yesterday, what was the result?
Nigeria played against Iran and Nigeria won 2-1.
2-1.
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that one.
Nice strike. Oh, back of the net. Magnificent player. And you need someone to stand up and be counted to pull an absolute rabbit.
And Barcelona will be without Rafinha. Yes, for the upcoming Champions League tie with Atletico Madrid after the forward was ruled out for 5 weeks with a hamstring problem. Rafinha, 29, sustained the knock in the first half of Brazil's 2-1 friendly defeat to France on Thursday after being taken off at halftime. Test carried out by the Brazilian medical team on Friday confirmed that the injury, to his right hamstring. Yes, he has suffered an injury to his right hamstring. Rafinha will now return to Barcelona for treatment, but he will not feature until May and will miss some huge upcoming fixtures for the club. Barca face Atletico Madrid 3 times in the next couple of weeks, starting with a trip to the Wanda Metropolitano next Saturday as they look to keep their 4 points lead over Real Madrid at the top of the La Liga intact. They then face Atletico again over 2 legs in the UEFA Champions League quarterfinal, with the first leg scheduled at the Camp Nou on the 8th of April, and the return leg, of course, in Madrid on the 14th of April. If Barca win that tie, they will then host Arsenal or Sporting CP in the first leg of the semi-final at the end of April in the semi-final, with the rematch, of course, away at the start of May. Games which Rafinha could likely miss. It is the 3rd time this season Rafinha, who has 19 goals in 31 appearances, has injured his right hamstring. Could Rafinha's latest injury derail Barcelona's season? Joseph?
Well, I don't think it will. I don't think it will. I think, well, in as much as is an important player, yes, well, no doubts. But I think, there are a few guys who can at least maybe not give the same level of, performance or even the output he has. And I think, but the truth is, do they have, bodies there who can, at least make, give them a little bit of respite and try to, when I say prepare the cracks for a bit until he comes back and things not to get too serious. And I think so. Ferran Torres is somebody who has been getting into the end of action and scoring goals for quite a while now. With the fact that these are important goals. The truth is also that in as much as they have Lamine Yamal, I think in terms of creativity is always going to be in their handy. Yes, whether you like Rashford or not. The truth is, yes, he will not give probably up to a quarter of what he does, but the truth is, he's a body who would play and fit in right where Rafinha plays. So for me, I think, they should be okay for a while. And I think just enough for them to probably see out the season. But, if this had happened maybe earlier, I would have said, okay, there's a big problem. And, he's had some injury worries before that, he comes in and, maybe just short. But the truth is that, at this point in time, I think they have just enough bodies to cover for a little bit of time before, he comes back. But generally, the likes of, Ferran Torres and Rashford should be able to at least provide something in the interim before he comes back fully.
So you don't think Rafinha's absence is going to be a big problem for them?
No, for the league, I don't think so. I think Real Madrid are far too inconsistent for you to say, okay, maybe Barcelona would lose their title. The points difference and obviously ultimately the title. I think maybe in the Champions League I'm not sure what the ambitions, are. They want to win it, obviously, but I don't think, it will be a case of a primary concern. But in the league, this way I'll probably say, okay, yeah, if it had happened earlier, there could be a big problem, because Barcelona as well. You can't depend on them to go like a very long stretch to win the league title, which, by the way, should be a requisite for winning the league. But the truth is, I think Real Madrid most time plays just in the hands of Barcelona, by not winning games, and of course, subsequently, deny themselves even the competition of going for that league title. So for me, I think it's the reason, not just because of what the other bodies can, basically just do or offer, but the fact that that Real Madrid themselves have not proven to be much of a competition in terms of winning the league for me.
Okay. He doesn't think the Rafinha case, yes, not having Rafinha ready or be a part of the side at this crucial stage of the season, could derail Barcelona's season. 090-41,089, 090-44,089. Yes, we're talking Barca at this point in time. The international break had another casualty in Brazil's Rafinha after he suffered a hamstring injury that is likely to keep him out for up to 5 weeks in the running for the title. And yes, as Barcelona gets into the quarterfinal of the UEFA Champions League, you think the absence of this player could derail Barca's chances in the race for the title and even Champions League football? Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, welcome.
Yes, this is David Thomas.
Okay, David.
Please. Happy weekend to everybody.
Wishing you the same.
In Barcelona, they are doing excellent about their league. But the issue is that, like concerning Rafinha, I believe this thing will not affect them because they have players that can play from that flank. Just let the team understand themselves and play better absent of him. And they will do well. I know at the end of the season they will start the game. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay, thank you so much. Is it having players that is actually the concern here, or having players who are effective? Because we know that when it comes to conversations about Rafinha, he raises it a notch ahead of other guys that you don't even have to. He's the captain of this team. You don't even have to consider whether other guys are available the moment he's playing. But you look at when he's not available, that becomes a bit of a concern. I mean, we saw how we talked about how important it was to have him ready for the Newcastle United game. And yes, he showed up in the return leg. I think he played really well on that night. They won by 7-2, and we saw a Rafinha who, of course, was in the mood, so to speak. And then, of course, the international window has cost him another one. The team and himself another injury this time around, and this is a concern. Are we saying that Rashford can step up in the absence of Rafinha now and not make Barcelona miss him that much?
In terms of goals, no. Based on what we've seen of Rashford, you can't. In terms of maybe assists or just, I think what Flick would try to do with Rashford is, because obviously you can't depend on him a lot for plenty goals. I think it is to, look for a way to make him effective. Just contribute to the general team play. I think he can, basically do that. Do the hold-ups, just lay on passes, and probably not do too much. Allow the likes of Ferran Torres to, take the reins. And when you have the chance, take it, for Marcus Rashford. But is he somebody who can at least keep defenders busy? I think he can. He can. He has the pace, and maybe not the same trickery, but in terms of occupying, the defenders and bodies, because that's what they, Barcelona basically make use of. By the way, third man runs, and when he makes those runs and open spaces for, the likes of Ferran Torres and even the Ferran Lopez, I think they should be, just okay based on how they play, and I think that should be just enough for 5 weeks. And I think they are in game week 30 now or 31. I think after 5 weeks, maybe 2 games before the season runs out, we might definitely know, okay, this is where it's going to. And I think even at that point in time, if anything is going to be, happen, anything extraordinary, I think it will be just enough in time, just enough time for him to decide the season for Barcelona if the trophy is going to be won or lost, specifically in the front of the league title. For Champions League, they are not going to be playing week in, week out. I think that could be, where it also comes in as a little bit of, positive in that negative situation. And I think they should be fine until the end of the season.
Okay, he says that they should be fine until the end of the season. What say you as we talk Rafinha and Barcelona and what the season holds for this side as we get into, the end of the season. One final stretch, and teams could, of course, be lifting trophies, or teams, of course, could come really, really close. Remember, they got as far as the semi-final last time out against Inter. It was a goal first over 2 legs, and this time around, of course, they are getting as close as possible. They have a Spanish team that they have their number to contend with for a place in the semi-final of the UEFA Champions League. And yes, to have a player like that ready will do them a world of good. But do you think the injury that has ruled a player out could be a problem for Barcelona not to have him ready at this stage of the season? 090 41,089, 090 44,089. Rafinha is the man we're talking about at this time. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
My name is Comrade A.A. Ladan.
Welcome.
From Opomagis.
Okay.
Yes, I've had the issue of this speculation about what Rafinha and this guy, this Englishman, not be able to work what Rafinha is doing in Barcelona. So what Barcelona should release him to go away and find a better winger that can be able to match and qualify his place.
Okay.
Yes, that's my observation. And secondly, in regarding to the selection of Rodri from Manchester City to Real Madrid, I'm saying that it is not possible because Rodri should not supposed to go to Real Madrid. He's
Why?
supposed to stay there in Manchester City.
Okay.
Because of due to the problem that Manchester City is facing now. If you leave Manchester City for now, Manchester City will collapse because he is the huge playmaker there. Minus Rodri, I don't think Manchester City can be able to what do you call it, to pick up.
Oh, okay.
Due to the problem that Manchester City is facing now. That's my observation. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that one on the show this afternoon. Still Football Live. Yes, keep the messages coming in as well. We'll take them soon as we are currently taking calls and having you share your thoughts with us this afternoon on the show on what you think about these guys and what exactly is happening right there. Do you think really that not having this guy ready for this crucial stage of the season could affect Barcelona as far as the season is concerned? Would it derail their title chances in both the Champions League and in the league, where they are still hoping to bring in the big trophies this season? Do you think not having Rafinha ready could prove to be problematic for this Barcelona side as they gear up towards the end of the season, hoping to, of course, win themselves some titles? This one here says, good afternoon, Brilla. This is Emmanuel texting from Ajay. He says, as a Barcelona fan, Rafinha being out for 5 weeks is a big blow to Barca. We may win the league, but the Champions League, I don't think so. Okay. Let's see that. This one here says, good afternoon, Brilla. Rafinha will be hugely missed this important part of the season. I genuinely don't know how Barcelona will cope in those matches without him. Barcelona don't play well in big games without Rafinha. Games against Chelsea, Atletico Madrid first leg in the Cup, Real Madrid first leg, and the PSG have shown this. I hope he recovers on time and Rashford steps up. Taiwo from Manchester. This one is from you. Hello, good afternoon. Okay. How big a player is he for Barcelona? And reports, of course, from the camp of Brazil says he might be out for 5 weeks. And Barca, at this stage of the season, give 5 good weeks without having this man available. Might prove too difficult. It just really might. Goals and assists. He's only played 31 times this season, limited to only 31 games. And he's done 19 goals. Not even talking assists yet. Well, yes. Concern. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Your friend Odwell.
Welcome.
Victor, a tree doesn't make a forest. When a player is injured, they have so many other good players on the bench that can replace them. It might go to be a very brilliant player, but there are some other players. Look at Arsenal versus Man City. They did not have this defender. They did not have that player. But they still beat Arsenal. So Rafinha is a good player, but Barcelona is a big team. They have so many other good players. Good afternoon to you, my friend.
Okay, thank you so much for that one. All these things you people say about it doesn't matter. He's just one player. There are still a lot of players. When you say a lot of players, are you referring to the club, or you are including other clubs in the conversation, or you are looking at the transfer market when you say there are a lot of other players? You want to imagine a situation where you say a Bruno Fernandes, for instance, is not fit for Man United, and you say there are a lot of other players on the bench that can step up.
Why are they?
See, let me tell you, one of the reasons Liverpool have had a bad season, whether you buy this idea or not, just think about it, is the fact that Salah is not the same guy he was last season. If he was, he would have changed the game a lot of times and would have won them clutch points for them to be high up there in the conversation already. 5 games into the season, they were 5 points ahead of Arsenal. I think they're like 21 points behind them now. And it explains that even in situations where the ideas are not perfect from the coaches, in a lot of cases, or on some occasions, the ideas are not particularly perfect. But if you have the players who will step up and get the job done, it will be so easy. Or you want to imagine a Liverpool defense without Van Dijk, and say Joe Gomez and Konate. There are a lot of players on the bench that can step up and do the job. In some situations, at Arsenal now, you say a lot of players can step up if Declan Rice, for instance, doesn't play in that midfield. You go hard. Like, I think it was even recently Ebere started coming into his stride, because in the absence of Odegaard, he could not exactly control the midfield. But I think over time, he warmed himself up to the new role, and then he started doing well, and then before he suffered this calf injury that has ruled him out for a few games now. So I don't think it's always that easy to say when this team doesn't play. Yes, it is an opportunity for other people to step up, but that there are a lot of other players like that. Clubs there's even a limit to how many you can sign, not to talk of a lot of others being there. Hello, good afternoon.
My coach, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Victor. Good afternoon, Joseph.
Good afternoon, coach.
Yeah, shout out to you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job over there.
Thank you. God bless you.
I've been listening ever since. Yeah. So, concerning this Rafinha topic, it's coach, you just hit the nail on the head. Because look, okay, for example, let's look at what's happening to Tottenham. Yes, Tottenham. With that squad, and all of them are still fit, do you think they will still be languishing at the 16, 17? No, that's why they have first team players and those that are jailed, and they have backup. So you can't compare backup to
the
players that do.
Yeah.
Yes, that way, but Rafinha, you need to see that game when he came back, everybody saw the difference. That first leg, Atletico Barcelona 4-0 without Rafinha. Yamal was struggling a lot of because those wingers and other midfielders they understand the system, and those that you can't compare. It doesn't go well. So look at Tottenham now. Like almost half of their back line are way out. Some are even trying to come back. That agility, that force, that playing, that pattern that's why some coaches get it wrong. Some coaches don't know, like some coaches get confused. So it's not like because they buy backup or there's another player anybody can say. It's not easy like that. You can't just walk into an organization and be a backup and you now take over from I don't think it works like that. So Rafinha is still going to be missed, because even if you need to look at the response leg, they almost did a remontada because that guy he even scored. So miss, and it's also going to be a big miss for Man City too, for Foden. So I know when you raise up that one, somebody will say there's other players that can back up Foden. It's not done that way. Thank you guys. I'll be listening.
Thank you so much for your contribution on the show this afternoon. Yes, of course, the action continues right here, and we're definitely taking you closer to it. And yes, we have raised a couple of topics. At this point in time, we're talking Rafinha and what his absence, how much of a vacuum this is to this Barcelona side, and if you think not having him available could hurt this team. Hello.
Victor.
Good afternoon.
Sorry, I'm trying to reply the last caller.
No. You cannot respond to the last caller, please. If you are not talking about the topic, you don't respond to. We are not talking about the last caller. We have a topic we are looking at. It is the topic that we are looking at, and not the contributions of those who have called already. Okay, please, let's stick to the topic. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Vicky.
Yes, welcome.
Obi, they talk.
Okay.
Obi, in this case here, sometimes all those coaches, once they don't make you back up, you like perform. You see the other guys still come back, you still go back to bench. I think that is the key mentality of some players. Just like goalkeeper. If the first choice get injury, if you get that post, they perform. You go see the game for your mind, you say, if this guy come back, I will still go back to bench. So some backup players don't take it like that, say, after all, if this guy did, I shall go there here. Then go just they do what they like, whether they play well or not. Until you can get team where go give them that first shake. So now what me I they think. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. But of course, limit the scope of the conversation to Rafinha and how much of an important figure he is to this Barcelona side. We're talking about him now, and reports coming from the camp of Brazil says he's going to be out for at least 5 weeks. Yes, he's going to be out for maybe 5 weeks. Depends. He might also recover before then. And we're asking this afternoon if you think not having Rafinha available to this Barcelona team could, at this important stage of the season, derail their title chances, both in the Champions League and in the league as well. Is what the talk is about at this time on the show. Hello. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr.
Yes, good
President.
afternoon. Welcome.
How are you doing?
We're fine, thank you. Welcome.
Who is it?
Joseph. Yes.
Okay, Joseph, how are you doing?
Fine,
okay,
welcome.
Mr. President,
What's
just
your name,
one
please?
thing I want to say. This is Zainab until.
Okay.
Mr. President, what I want to say, this international break is not good at all. I don't know why they cannot scrap it. They should scrap this international break because it's giving everybody injury. Look at Madekena is injured. I don't understand this international break. They should just know what to do about it. If it's removed, just stop playing international. This thing is okay, please. Because all the players are just getting injured, which is really not good for Premier League. I beg you. And we were trying to win league. Now they are trying to injure our player. I beg you. I say God bless them. Thank you.
Okay. I have actually tried not to get in that conversation today. In fact, we had it in mind to discuss something relating to that, because coaches are actually hitting at themselves now. The coach of Hungary has said that what's his name? Arne Slot has no right to tell him who to rest and who not to rest. How dare you tell him to rest his captain?
The audacity.
To rest his captain. You had the chance to rest him. You didn't.
You did not.
And then you're telling me a national team to rest the player.
The job is more important than
Look, the things we've seen this week alone, it's just what it is. And I mean, Mbappe was injured until the international break. We thought he was not going to play for France, so that he would be fresh for Madrid. Haven't played a couple of minutes. There was one particular time he was chasing the ball in the game against Brazil. I said, this brother injured before. That brother has got pace. Boy. Whew. And he just got past the player like the player wasn't even there. Okay, I mean, imagine a case where, what's this guy's name? The Solbakken? Is that the name of the coach of Norway?
Okay. Yeah.
Man City will now call him now and say, don't play Haaland. No. Haaland not the Google perform of late now. Which we don't play him. So they will even be happy if he plays. I mean, Victor Gyökeres played and he did a hat-trick. I'm like, wait, how are they using you in this your country? And, you know, that was also going to bring up another conversation. But I think for Haaland, he don't be senior man. And they can afford to rest him. For the national team, I doubt if he has any point to prove. Let him just be there and do what he will do. And then, of course, we'll see what will happen in the future. But I think he needs to be playing because that's the only way he can find form.
Yes.
He's reached that point where he's already starting to second guess himself.
The confidence.
Yes, the confidence has taken a hit. And if he misses a chance, he's asking, maybe this. I mean,
maybe this.
Now you.
Defenders not even respect him.
You know, so it's a concern. And I think that's one man you need him to find his scoring boots ahead of Norway's World Cup. You know, their World Cup run. Their bid for whatever, how far they want to go. However far they want to go as far as the World Cup is concerned. That's one man you need him to be readily available so that he can power the team and you know, help them to be at their very best. But if you have a player like that and he's not ready, it might be a bit of a concern that they are going into the World Cup. And I mean, you don't want to go to a competition like that and Soloth is man leading the line.
It's not
because he's bad,
but
you know that if a Haaland was in his form, that would be an extra. But again, of course, let's not lose sight of what we've been talking about. We've been looking at Barcelona and Rafinha and what, of course, he brings to this side. To have the man sidelined for another 5 weeks, if you think that could be a problem for the side. Let's take your thoughts this afternoon on 09041,889, 09044,889 on the show. Now, this one says, honestly, the other bodies can't keep up. Rafinha is a potent, clinical, and all-round contribution is second to none. This one says, Ferran Torres is not as clinical. Is not as clinical, and his finishing is terrible. Rashford is not consistent, and on the day that Lamine Yamal is not having a good day, they will miss him badly. Always remember to include your name, please. All of the contributions you've made, you've not included your name. Always try to include your name. This one here says, good afternoon, VQ and Joseph. How are you guys doing today? Yes, we're doing good. Happy weekend. I don't know which league Joseph is watching. They will definitely miss him with Barca. That has a 90% chance of winning games and a 45% chance of not winning. It will be a huge miss.
Which have a 95% chance of not winning
if he's playing, if Rafinha is playing. He says, like Vic, you said, it's not about having bodies, all these names, Rashford, Fermin, and the others. No, he says the comparison isn't from there. They will miss him seriously.
No, you can't
not
compare
even,
him.
Of course. Not even at the end now. It's a big miss. Dyer from Winnipeg. He says, yes, Joseph just proved today, say Vikochila.
Well done.
That's why they cope with this critical time of the season.
Well done.
They might lose the league if for the Champions League I don't see them surviving Atletico Madrid if they don't have this same player. Considering what that they must be outscored by the opponent to win games. Dio from Winnipeg. Yes, this one is coming from Dio from Winnipeg.
If they can't lose Lamine Yamal, wait till they go talk. All this, I'm not again.
I think even last season he had a better season than Lamine.
Yes, he did.
And this season he's not been fit enough.
Yes. So I think he's had one injury already this season.
Like 3 times. This is the third time. This is the third time.
But somehow they were able to cope without him. And I think again, 5 weeks. The reason I'm saying about this, Ferran Torres has been scoring.
Yeah.
Which is a plus. So at least you can say, okay, bad as a bad, you give you at least 50%. I think if you're having Rafinha at 50%, it still counts for something. If Ferran Torres is putting in with the goals and he's doing all he could, Rashford will not give you the same thing. But if you have Ferran Torres from the wing, at least they try. It's just like having Trossard and Martinelli. If Martinelli is at least putting all of the effort and all of these things, and maybe not as much as Trossard will score in terms of goals, but the fact is it just enough for them not to derail in terms of the league pursuit? I think yes. And then you also look at the fact that Real Madrid, most times you don't even know the kind of Real Madrid that turn up. Most times you expect, okay, Real Madrid will win this game, they end up drawing. Yes, only a few matches back now. You look at Valverde, he's been one who has been the saving grace for them in terms of his goals, and this doesn't come all the time. So most times you're expecting that Real Madrid wins, but they end up losing. So with that, I think if that 5-week period, maybe they wouldn't. I don't think they will relinquish the league at the top of the table. I think they will just have enough. When it comes back, yes, they can now do whatever they want. But I don't think Real Madrid will be able to overtake them in that league at this point in time, or even in 5 weeks.
Okay. Let's see how that goes. As far as this one is concerned, let's take more of the contributions. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Okay. Get the calls coming in. Rafinha and Barcelona. They still have the league and the Champions League to gun for. And we're asking you this afternoon if you think not having this player ready, yes, could derail their season. Yes, reports are coming in from Brazil. It says coming in from the camp of Brazil, because these reports are not directly from Brazil. The team is in the US. This one here says, good afternoon. Uzoma Collins Wakwe from Onitsha again. He says, we Barcelona fans will miss Rafinha greatly. He's a game changer for us. We have players who could make the difference, but he's still important. Thank you. Okay, thank you too. As far as that one is concerned, yes, your thoughts regarding the Rafinha situation, which we're dealing with at this time on Football Live Umbrella. Of course, as the action continues right here, still your Champions Star Sports Radio Umbrella FM. As we continue to take a look at the teams. Now let's talk about this man, because yet again there are concerns about if he should be able to make the World Cup team. As paper aeroplanes took flight around Wembley Stadium early in the first half of the eventual 1-1 draw against Uruguay, fans are showing that they had already lost their interest. It looked like players were also phoning it in. Some needed reminding that not only was the World Cup just around the corner, but that their place at the tournament was far from guaranteed. None more so than Phil Foden, who of course is on borrowed time in the national team to make it into Thomas Tuchel's squad. Despite being one of the finest and the highest achieving English players of the last decade, Foden has a very short body of work with the England team to write home about. He has scored just 4 goals in 48 matches, with his last strike in a competitive game coming against Wales in the last World Cup in Qatar. It's nearly 4 years since he scored for the national team. Foden has little reason to show much faith. Thomas Tuchel actually has little reasons to show much faith in Foden. As the player asked to be selected, yes, he asked not to be selected for the international last June and failed to shine in the last camp in November. To make matters worse, the 25-year-old cannot even point to his Manchester City performances as proof that he can still deliver at the highest level. At club level, he's falling out of favor. And at the time when the man, talking about Thomas Tuchel, is having thoughts about Cole Palmer, Jude Bellingham, Morgan Rogers, all 3 of these guys jostling for positions to play right behind Harry Kane for a place at the World Cup. Phil Foden, not a starter for City, sometimes doesn't even play at all, sometimes gets a few minutes to come shake things off. I mean, he was brought on in the 90th minute in the Carabao Cup final against Arsenal. Foden is dramatically declining form for City, meant that many people were surprised to see him keep his place in Thomas Tuchel's squad. At a time where people are also calling for the fact that Trent was ignored, they also think Phil Foden should not get a chance to play in this team. Joseph.
I think it is important to look at the quality of what they have, particularly for different parts of the pitch. And I think where Foden plays, I don't think there's many players who would say okay should be able to or would readily be available, be especially from that attacking point of view. The fact is, for me, you can talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold all you like, or maybe that position, because there's not particularly so much players, to say you want to pick from, and then you probably drop out somebody like Trent Alexander-Arnold, and from that wing, especially in the left wing, England don't have a lot of Anthony Gordon. And I think, apart from Anthony Gordon,
Eberechi
Eze will obviously want to come, play from the middle, but he only can play. That's like
all the times he has featured on Thomas Tuchel, he's played from the flanks.
Yes, and that's because they don't have much talent from the flanks. To be fair, so even Foden, as far as I'm concerned, most times should play from not even from the flanks, from the middle. But the truth is, because he's been playing like that under Guardiola, and of course he's well acclimatized what they get. It's not like it's his primary position, but because they lack talent from that angle. So I think for me, you look at who is there, who else is there? Jarrod Bowen is a right winger.
Bukayo Saka plays from the right.
From the right. If you are going to show on Cole Palmer to the wings, it's obviously come from the right as well.
Yeah.
Who else? You can't particularly say there's gone are the days of Rashford, Sterling. And,
Rashford still plays. He was a bright spot on in that position last night.
Yes, but the truth is, with that minus Rashford, there's basically nobody you look at and say,
Anthony Gordon.
That's all.
Harvey Barnes, maybe if he makes the team.
But Harvey Barnes is not consistent. It will not give you what.
Yeah, but I mean, how many do you want? So you can only take 26 to the World Cup. Why do you want 4 of them on each flank?
And I think if you have the option of Harvey Barnes or Phil Foden, I don't think anybody will pick Harvey Barnes over Phil Foden. First of all, for sheer talent, for the quality, for where they play. I think there's a difference, and if you have the opportunity to take a Foden who has been playing there, even though it's not his primary position, against Harvey Barnes, who you would have to think or second guess what he could do, or what he could add to the squad.
I want to say that because of how City plays, that's why Foden gets pushed to the flank sometimes. He's not a winger. He won't survive as a winger. He will not make it as a winger. So to play behind the striker appears to be his best position. But if you are going to judge him on the strength of what he has done at City this season, since the turn of the year, he's been a different player completely. And I think I feel sorry for him because maybe because of the way Guardiola wants to play, wants to have control, he's now tried to be a jack of all trade in that front position, in the supporting striker's position, whether you find yourself on the flank or right behind the striker or the other side of the flank, left or right. He's now trying to master all of this without particularly holding down a spot.
Yes.
Because when it comes to trusting specialists with the assignment to get the job done, like we saw in the Carabao Cup final, Guardiola will go a Semenyo and go a Doku. These are the typical wingers in the team that he doesn't have to micromanage or overthink the idea. He knows that Rodri can police in front of the back four, and then Bernardo Silva and Cherki will be those guys who will try to find spaces in behind. All of a sudden, it looks like he has better specialists and he cannot trust Foden with the job. So, if that's the case at Manchester City, my question is, why should Thomas Tuchel trust him to be the man to then play in this position if we are not judging him on his form of the past?
Well, I just think Thomas Tuchel as well. You see how he deployed Cole Palmer at the last Euros? Yeah, from the middle of the park, just shipping out.
Last Euros was Guy Southgate. Took over after the Euros.
Not Tuchel.
Southgate.
Southgate. Pardon.
Yeah.
He brings him in from the middle of the park. He didn't see a lot of minutes, but he obviously is the guy who, if he's going narrow in the attack, these guys can actually cut into space and to allow. I think more times, apart from just the bodies, it's I think it's what should I call it? A tactical point of view. Just as you have Eberechi, again, he's not primarily a winger, but it's a guy who can make things happen, because when you are making use of your wing backs, you have to narrow it from the front, and of course get more bodies into the box, or even try as much as possible to have the winger reverts, or what's the word now? Basically revert into the middle, even still up front, just behind the strikers, and just try to open space. And I think it's also what Eberechi would give you. So in my opinion, if I would not have a problem with Eberechi being deployed tactically from that point of view, I think I would not have a problem with Foden playing in that from that angle as well. Yes, if you are going for the more natural wingers, Harvey Barnes is not the guy who narrow the middle. Creates more problems in the box in terms of choking the front, and then giving you more bodies inside the box to give you more opportunities to score. But you widen it, and then it means you are looking forward to play from from the wing, which, by the way, for me, it limits what the team can achieve, because again, you have the wing backs who would also need to play from the wings, except if they want to invert into that middle of the park to cause problems from, again, those will be like box crashers, not particularly presences inside the box. So I think it makes more sense if you have the wing backs and people like Foden, who is a natural as a just plays off the striker, or as a 10, he plays there, but then you put him into the middle, into the wings, for him to invert into that the aspect created by the strikers or whoever, for the wingers to actually put more balls into the box. I think you'd have more bodies in the box, and of course you have more greater chances of scoring than when you have the natural wingers like Harvey Barnes, who just wants to cross or just cut in and shoot. I think it limits what the team can achieve with that, and I basically can see the sense where Tuchel is coming from, deploying Foden to that wing. Again, we've seen this guy, he's not particularly had really any good form this year or even this season at all. But the truth is, I think in terms of looking at it from the tactical point of view, I think it's more productive than having just the natural wingers, who will just put in the crosses and not affect the game as much. Because I mean, a cross is just 50% met or 50% missed. So why not Kuku? Why not just have the, you can have the possession of the ball, create overloads in the box, and have yourself a better chance of scoring goals than just shipping in the crosses.
One thing I think also that Thomas Tuchel tries to prioritize is, if you are not offering me physicality to be able to cope with what I expect, be able to offer me intelligence that would help me decide games in situations where I do not have to tell you what to do. And I think when he's speaking his team, you can almost guess that from a physicality point of view, these are guys that he knows that even when it is 90 minutes, they can still offer him a burst of pace or better decision making or track back to even win tackles and keep the team floating as much as possible.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to listing all of these ideas, this is where a guy like Foden falls short.
Yeah.
And then you begin to say, oh, he doesn't give this, he doesn't give that. Do you think he should make the list?
I think so. I think because you want to start a game not with chaos. You want to start with the game a bit more controlled. And I think that gives you, slow things down and try to pick apart, try to control the chaos, try to, see the moving pieces and try to basically form that architecture of how you want the team to play and how they, how you space, how you get the timings, and basically just calm things and then, see where it leads. I think Harvey Barnes, in my opinion, I think the person who could probably do the work perfectly well will be Anthony Gordon, because yes, he can offer you that. He can get into, he can do the crosses. He can, invert into that half space for the, wing backs to travel down and, get him, the box from the edge of the box, and then he shoots or even lays down the pass. Is probably a complete package in that aspect. But in the case where you don't have Anthony Gordon or even, some of your primary wingers or, the natural wingers, I think, when you start games like that, Harvey Barnes, for what I've seen of him for quite some time, is basically deployed as somebody who will run against tired legs, and you basically he's got that physicality. So when the games, when you see that it's probably not going to be profitable, trying to control the chaos and you want to go more direct, and I think that's how England have been playing for quite some time. In fact, even Newcastle United, because more times it's coming from the bench, Harvey Barnes, to effect the game when Anthony Gordon tires out, because Anthony Gordon will give you, a good dose of both sides, reverts in and also go physical, go for the runs. But Harvey Barnes, I think, is really effective when the game is, because of the mentality as well. He's somebody who is always going for it and just running at his man again and again and trying to go for goal. And I think it makes so much sense to have him probably in the 60th minute and down.
Is Foden's form a concern?
It is, obviously. I think for a guy,
Tuchel's comment at full time yesterday was also not flattering. I mean, he said that he expected more from the player. The player did not do much, and he'll be hoping to see. I mean, you look at some part of in the upper terraces where the guys were seated yesterday, there were a bunch of guys who the coach had initially explained that he has an idea of those who will make it into his team already, and he's just looking for some who would offer him what he doesn't have, or those who will be pushing those who are already in his team and hoping that those ones can get him something. If you're looking at Rodgers and Bellingham, guys who of course have had fantastic seasons so far, you will not start them ahead of you will not start Foden ahead of these guys.
No, it's not possible. And I think it's not even just a problem of the present. I think over time, Foden is one guy I thought, for lack of better words, I mean, this could be harsh, but for lack of better word, I think has probably let England down, or maybe himself, and by extension England, because I think there was so much expectation on the man because of how we started and how we, Pep Guardiola basically brought him in, gradually found his feet, and before everything just went wow, and you could tell, okay, Foden probably one for the future. I mean, at one point there were arguments, Euros 2021, that you have to build England around this young man because he had everything in him.
That same idea was flying around City, but Gundo left, De Bruyne left,
and he couldn't hold on.
And he could not hold on to that place. And new guys are coming and taking his place.
So I think if you look at it from that angle, he's not exactly done a good work for even himself.
Yeah.
And if you're having, I don't think there's anybody in this world that I would not have Foden in my first team. I would not. Bellingham, Morgan Rogers has basically come out of nowhere now. I don't think he's in any parallel lines as, based on current form. Yes, you can talk about talent or whatever, he has it. But based on current form, I don't think you put Foden ahead of Morgan Rogers. And to be honest, I think you only need one more level of talent. In fact, a boy from anywhere to just break through ahead of, just come through the ranks. Foden will not find himself in this England setup again, because it's that fast, it is coming in fast. And when you have, I think what England needs at this point in time, just one more winger that would give just a little bit more of consistency,
unpredictability.
Yes, than what Harvey will give you. Or that.
He says, I thought he could be a bit more adventurous, taking risk like a number 10, trying to do some stuff, but he didn't. And of course, we're talking Phil Foden at this time on Football Live. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Vicky. Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Hello.
Yes, go on. What's your name?
Yeah, this is Thomas calling from Lekki.
Okay, welcome.
Yeah. Concerning Foden, I watched the game yesterday, though I think I came in after 5 minutes of the second half. And what I met you guys discussing about, there's this word that says that you can't be doing something the same way and expect a different result. I know Guardiola is a kind of coach that doesn't want any kind of pattern to be his own way that people can predict him. He always thinks out of the box. So if you are kind of instrument that is Guardiola is going to make use of, want to make use of you in any way that I know that he can. You understand? So now, and that is what he's doing to Foden. That is what he's doing to Foden. For me, I think the time, if the guy really wants to help himself, apart from him playing that natural role that is very, very conversant, playing behind the striker, which is very, very in that area. If he can master play behind the striker from left, from right wing to that area, I think it will be good for him. And that is what Thomas Tuchel wants Foden to do. Just like what he said, he already got the picture of the player the team he will get for the World Cup. Sure. But Foden is another plus, and he's a good guy that they know that we should look at this guy again. And that is what they are doing with Foden. Though the guy has not picked that role yet. So I wouldn't want a situation whereby people will look at him that no, he's not growing. He's growing. It's just that a lot of assignment has been given to him, which he himself is still looking at and mastering how he can be productive, proactive with all these things. That's how I see Foden. And I know he's not a player that will act to any role to them. He's not a player that he takes and they still trying for me. That's my thank you and good afternoon.
All right, thank you so much and good afternoon, of course, for that one. It is 20 minutes past 2 p.m. and this is Football Live on your Champion Star Sports Radio Brilliant FM. And yes, we have actually been looking at loads of topics on the show today in the course of today's edition of Football Live. Let's take a break at this time. When we come back, there'll be much more to talk about. And yes, we will dive into more exciting things on the show. You better keep it locked right here because yes, much more when we come back on Football Live. Stay with us.